It's the DORK podcast. It's the DORK podcast. With Keefe. It's the DORK podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag DORK podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is Reap Von Deep. He is promo code Ron Von D. All hail the king of ginger ale. It's Ryan Davey. Davey, how are you?
Not having a good night so far.
Fudge, what's up with that?
Well, you brought it to my attention that we did get a new iTunes review.
Yes.
And again, we get hammered for zero. Are you responding to people on Twitter? Because I am.
I respond to people on Twitter.
Yeah, but apparently we have no fan interaction, and apparently I'm obese.
Well, Ryan, the camera adds several hundred pounds, they say.
Well, how many cameras are on me? You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know,
but like,
yeah.
How do we go from like, oh, like we love your show to like 0 stars? Like you guys don't interact with anyone, and Davey's fat. Like I'm not. Granted, I'm not an 18-year-old kid anymore, right?
Stop it, Ryan. You look great, first of all.
I feel great.
Let me be the first to tell you, you look great. Second of all, if people aren't hating on the podcast, not enough people are listening to the podcast. And what happens is, a couple of squirrely losers, they probably tweeted us one time, and we happened to miss it and not respond, or they tweeted something stupid, so we didn't respond, and now they're getting all hot and bothered. I don't know why people expect everybody to automatically respond. I try to reach out. We ask people, hey, let us know stuff. We do email bags where we rip through as many goddamn emails as we can. We appreciate the feedback, but don't be like, oh no, you didn't respond to me, and now I'm going to leave a 1-star review. Like,
no, and you're fat. Like, come on. And not only that, but
that really stuck with you, Ryan.
So it did stick with me because, and then I went on Twitter last night and I said, okay, if this is the case, like I'll open up any DM that you send me between 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. I will answer. Do you know how many I got?
How many did you get?
One
DM. Did you answer?
I did. I had a nice conversation.
There you go. How about that?
So it was me, and I was talking to Dan Silva. So Dan was reaching out. I'll plug right now. He's got an Instagram account where he reviews movies, comic books, video games, all that stuff. It's called Sidetracked Entertainment, _tracked_entertainment.
Nice,
check him out.
Nice.
Give him a follow.
Yeah.
Dan's a good dude.
All right.
So make sure you guys give him a follow. So thanks, Dan, for reaching out. How's that for fan interaction? And for the person who called me fat, I would like your home address.
No,
let's have a fight.
Let's not turn. We're not.
Let's have a fist fight.
We're too old for that, Ryan.
I am too old for that.
We're too old for that. We don't do that anymore.
Oh, I wish though.
A young Keefe and Davey would go out there and 50-50 chance,
scrap it up.
50-50 chance we'd come home with a win.
And I think I remember us getting into our first almost physical altercation in boarding school, where a kid told me, where I told him that I was going to punch him in the mouth, and he said, stunned, "You can't do that."
Well, that would be a lifelong private school kid.
Yeah, and he was. He's like, he like was so. Yeah. I'm like, he's like, "What are you gonna do about it?" I'm like, "I'm gonna knock you out." And he's like, "You can't do that."
You can.
I can.
You didn't.
Absolutely.
But you can.
I didn't. But I could.
Ryan, well, I think you're getting hung up on the wrong details, because what happened is we got one sad sack review, and then you're ignoring all the nice reviews. All the hey,
we do get a lot of nice reviews.
Yes.
Yeah,
I like all that stuff.
We do get a lot of nice reviews, so I will say thank you, and thank you everyone in the chat. Thank you everyone who does leave us good reviews and interacts with us. We're nice guys. I'm a good dude. I'm not
a nice guy. Get to know him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, will you one time? Jesus Christ!
Jesus, you're kind of picking on this guy, no reason. I think you're a nice guy. I think
and the people who say like, so I just in the
sexually
chat,
active within the community.
I've had like full sex. The other thing too. So
yeah.
And so the stream interactions right now, like we should do a better job of like at the back end of this, like saying hello to people and blah blah blah. But during the recording of the podcast, it doesn't really make sense to stop what we're doing and address the chat. Like that doesn't make sense.
We could probably do more of it like at the end, but the focus of this, like such a small fraction are watching it. And thanks to everybody who is watching it live. Yeah. That's cool that you guys do, and we appreciate that every Monday. But so many more people are listening to it, so that's why we kind of just focus on recording it, and then maybe at the end we should start doing a little bit more of that stuff. But you're getting all hot and bothered, Ryan. I don't want you to lose.
I'm up against it. You know, I'm up against it, man. I'm snowed under here. I'm stressed out.
Dig up. Dig out. Ryan, Dorktober's rolling on. The top 50 horror movies from the hashtag Dorkuniverse. We have released half of them at this point, 50 through 25, including some absolute gems on there so far.
Sure.
I've been enjoying the list. The most recent ones At number, let's see, 28, Poltergeist. People are happy to see that. 27, the original Night of the Living Dead. Some might think it's low, but I'm glad it's on the list. 10, Cloverfield Lane. I love it. And Cabin in the Woods.
I thought it was 10. It was 12.
That's across the street.
There's 11 Cloverfields.
You're thinking the 10 Cloverfield. And Cabin in the Woods, which again is a tricky one. Some people might think it's a comedy. Some people might think it's a whatever. So
it's more sci-fi. Something is more fantasy. It's crazy, but that's just a fucking good movie. So,
but that's all that is. So
we're
tweeting those out at Dork Podcast. We're trying to throw some stuff on the Instagram as well. The same handle at Dork Podcast. And at the end of all this, we're going to get Mac and Goo and Rossi to jump aboard, and we're going to do a round table, all 5 of us ripping through the 50 movies, saying ones that we thought should have been higher, lower, ones that missed the list, whatever. Full horror movie fest at that point. Ryan, are you now ready for the news portion of the program?
Let's do the news.
This week in Dork. Yeah.
All right, Marvel news, Ryan.
Hold on. I just want to let you. I didn't hear the.
Yes, you did, you son of a bitch.
And by the way, I have breaking news. I have breaking news right now. I want to interrupt you and tell you I have some breaking news at the top of the chat that I just got across my desk right now.
All right, hold on one second. Let me see if you can hear this. Can you hear that?
There it is. Yeah, I can hear it.
And now, a hashtag Dork breaking news flash.
Wow. I don't remember that audio. I don't know why I had that ready. That's not even the one I was hoping to play.
All right. That was pretty good, though.
Oh, let me try this one, just to really send home the point, Ryan.
Now, a hashtag Dork news flash.
I like that one better.
That's good. I like that one, too.
All right, let's go to the breaking news desk.
Breaking news we have right now.
Eyeballs.
We're going to keep that rolling?
I don't know why that's so long. It's a long tail on that.
Yeah. All right, breaking news right now.
Yeah.
I'm not fat. Fuck you.
Oh, Christ. This is going to be all episode. We got to move on it.
We got to move on.
If you saw what people said about me.
That was good. I teed you up that whole time. That whole time I had you going.
That's the breaking news that you're not fat. I told you you weren't fat a minute ago.
Wait, no, that wasn't it. It was I'm not fat.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I guess that sends home the point even stronger. Ryan,
really hammer it in, you know?
You know what people like besides being called not fat is Marvel news. Marvel news. They love Marvel news. Here's the thing. This was announced this week. I don't really like these, but because we are a movie TV podcast, I feel like we need to sort of at least mention them. I don't like. I consider all this stuff kind of spoilers or takes away from a big surprise, but I know why they do it. It probably helps sell tickets. But Doctor Strange will be in Spider-Man 3.
Yes. So then we have our group chat going. We're all speculating upon this, but I think the one thing that everybody agrees on is that the multiverse is coming to the MCU.
Yes.
With the Doctor Strange's next movie being called The Multiverse of Madness, with WandaVision coming up, we have now Spider-Man, and the rumors that are flying, and it all makes sense because Jamie Foxx is attached to the new Spider-Man. I'm hearing Kirsten Dunst is attached to it.
I think they're going to bring everybody in.
There are rumors of Garfield and Maguire showing up. And in my head, this is how you get the Sinister Six. Remember, they kept trying to set it up. They kept trying to introduce different characters. But how fucking cool would it be is if they have Keaton's Vulture, they have Homecoming's Matt Gargan, Scorpion.
Yep.
They have Shocker, played by who is it? Bokeem Woodbine? Is that who that is?
I know he was in it, but yeah.
So, and then you have Alfred Molina come back as Dr. Octopus.
Willem Dafoe. You got to bring these guys back though.
But you can, and Willem, how cool, and Jamie Foxx. So there's
it'd be cool
right there.
It'd be cool.
Yeah.
I like it, and I think obviously if you're going to tie them in, or even if it's just a brief cameo, like either you set up the Sinister Six, or you just do like a brief cameo to let people know that this is like a live action Into the Spider-Verse. You need somebody to sort of teleport everybody and like spin people around or whatever. So
do you bring Giamatti back as Rhino?
I wouldn't. I'd let him sit this one out. I'd recast.
Yeah, recast it.
I also think, and who knows? It's comics, so they could come back. But if Iron Man and Captain America are no longer the top two figureheads in the MCU, don't you think Spider-Man and Doctor Strange could sort of become that?
Yeah, or until we get Reed Richards, which I'm told is coming.
Yeah, maybe.
You know.
Yeah, could be like that. It could be like that for sure. So anyway, but that's still like years off. But that's just some Marvel casting news. Did you see the trailer for the Ryan Reynolds movie Free Guy?
I mean, I saw the first one. I get the idea, so I didn't really watch the second one. I think
this movie will be fine. It comes out December 11th, so they are trying to shoehorn it into 2020, which is kind of good luck to them, I guess.
Now, what is the rating on this? Is it PG-13 or PG?
The trailer felt PG-13. I didn't see it, but that's my guess.
I would like to have seen this being an R.
Yeah, I know.
That's me being selfish, but
I mean, it looks cool though. Like as far as anything like
the idea is cool
movies. So
yeah,
give it a shot. Did you see the new poster for Jurassic World Dominion?
How about that, huh? Another dinosaur skeleton on a poster. Woo.
Is that your phone screen lock?
No.
It's not on there? So if you held up your phone right now, it wouldn't be Jurassic World Dominion poster?
You go. It's the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, that's nice.
In a wallpaper, yeah.
I like that.
Getting some text messages there, too.
Mine's my daughter, but, whatever.
Well, so if you look at my... Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
That movie comes out June 10th, 2022. There was a trailer, Ryan, for Invincible, which is going to be an animated show on Prime next year. Now, this is a comic book written by Robert Kirkman, the same guy who did The Walking Dead. I've read only the first volume of this, but it's pretty cool, and it's animated, so it's going to look just like the comic book.
Sure,
I might give it a shot.
I heard was it J.K. Simmons' voice?
Yes, yeah, he's in there.
Plays the father.
Yeah.
And it's Glenn from The Walking Dead is the main character.
Stephen Yeun, I think.
Stephen Yeun, yeah.
Yun,
yeah.
So that'll be
I'll definitely check it out. I mean, I have Prime, so like, what the hell else am I doing, right?
Must be nice. Yeah.
Once I burn through all these Prime shows, I'm done with The Boys. Next Prime superhero show.
Yeah, give that a go.
All right, let's do it.
We got a trailer for Unsolved Mysteries Volume 2. That's coming out this month, I believe, like soon.
End of the month, right?
End of the month.
Yep.
Let me double check that. I should have wrote that down. But it's going to be 6 more episodes, just like the previous 6. I liked it. We did an episode on it. It got kind of mixed reviews. I thought it was pretty good, though.
But again, like you said, and like Nicole said, it's kind of hit or miss. Like there were some that I just really didn't care, or I didn't know. I don't know, man. Like it is what it is. I mean, I'll watch it. I enjoy it. But it's not my favorite thing.
No,
I don't think.
They got 2 more international ones, I believe.
See, that was the one I cared least about, I think.
No, I know. But you see this one, the one that was in Japan actually looked kind of nuts in the trailer.
Everything in Japan is nuts.
Yeah, so there you go. So that could work. All right, Ryan, let's get to I actually have a good one this week.
You got a good one this week?
Yeah, I do. Next segment of the program.
Mm-hmm.
This is This Week in Horrible Rossi Takes.
All right, so our guy Jason Rossi, he of the Pop Culture Pile Driver podcast, along with our other buddy Billy D. Started out as a wrestling podcast, but now they sort of do some wrestling, a lot of movie, music, TV, whatever, pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
They recently, in honor of the hashtag Dork Gooniverse Top 50 Horror Movies, they did a standalone episode on Paranormal Activity, which ranked 37th on our list.
Sure.
You can go check that out. And this was confusing. See if you can figure this out, and maybe we just have to chalk it up to Rossi logic.
Okay.
All right. So listen to this and see if it makes any sense. Rossi claims that he loves horror movies. So he's a horror movie guy, horror movie buff, big fan of horror movies, loves the genre. He then talked about Paranormal Activity, and they gave it a rating. So we all have different scales in the Dork Universe. We, of course, go to 6. The Pop Culture Pile Driver goes to 11. He gave it a 6 out of 11. So before you even say anything, you're probably like, all right, so he didn't love it, obviously. 6 out of 11 is a pretty low score. I looked at all of our lists, our ranking lists, and Jason Rossi thinks that Paranormal Activity is the 25th greatest horror movie of all time. So again, horror movie buff. Out of all the horror movies ever made, he thinks it's the 25th best, and yet he gave it a 6 out of 11. Does any of that add up?
No, that my mind is in like a pretzel.
Yes, it's a lot of numbers I just threw at you.
So it's in his top half of horror movies.
He thinks it's the 25th, only 24 horror movies in his mind ever that have ever been made are better than that. And he gave it a 6. And the only possible explanation I would have would be, oh, he must just hate horror movies. Not true. He loves them.
Horror movies. So he says.
Because wouldn't you say, if you were doing a top 50 movie list of like anything, like any kind of, especially when there's like thousands to choose from, like everything in your top 50 would be better than a 6 out of 11, or would it make your goddamn list?
That's a D-.
Right.
Or no, I think if it's out of 11, that's a failing grade.
6 out of 11 is not going to get it done.
It's like a 55 or like
Correct.
A whatever.
Yes.
I can't do the math in my head,
out of
like,
11, so it's under 60%.
It's under 60%. It's an F. So like I
so you don't like it? Then why would you rank
you don't like
it? So
why would you put it at 25th?
Fucking drove me nuts.
Like, and again, this is what drives me nuts. Is like rankings matter.
Yes, they do. If we don't have rankings, what separates us from the animals?
Well, not only that, but like his top 50 now, I'm going to look at it and be like, oh, he's just naming the top 50 horror movies he knows.
That popped into his head.
It just popped into my head. Like this ranking doesn't matter. I don't want to go down this. This is a very slippery slope because I'm going to get into some dark territory right now as well. But, like, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing?
What the fuck are we doing?
What are we doing?
That I think we could apply to really everything.
Like, it's like going to a 90s. I remember sitting with you in our 90s or our TV draft at our live event. And I think I actually looked at you, and I give Goo a hard time about this all the time, so he knows this is coming. Yeah. But like drafting the show Stella in an all-time TV draft, and I think I looked at you and said, "What the fuck are we doing here?"
Yeah, we smoked that draft, by the way. That like wasn't even close, but it also wasn't like really all that enjoyable to us because like they weren't really trying.
I think what did we get right off the rip? We got like The Office and The Sopranos, like
something crazy.
And then someone was like, "Oh, I'm going to take like Doug, the animated shows."
Yeah, we're like, all right, well, we'll go with The Wire then.
Yeah, it's crazy shit. I don't even like The Wire, and I know it's a better show than that.
So just by comparison's sake, I was pulling up my list, and I think I had 28 Days Later as my 25th favorite.
Okay, let me see the sheet. What did I have?
Let me double check for you. Nope, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong one. You had 28 Days Later.
That's right in the middle. That's a decent horror movie.
Right, and what would you give that on a scale of...
Oh, out of like 1 to 6 or like 1 to 11? Which one? I would give... That's out of 11, that's an 8.
Yeah, it's an excellent movie. It's at least an 8.
On our scale, it's probably like a 4.5, 5.
Yeah. I don't get it, man. Anyway.
Fast Zombies, bro. Fast Zombies.
I can't find mine. I don't know what I put. Oh, no, here I go. Oh, anyway. So that's that. Let's get to...
math doesn't matter.
No. Nothing matters. Okay. Nothing matters. Nothing matters. Let's get to the next segment of the program.
It's time for Davey's video game minute. Even if it takes more than a minute.
All right, Rye, what do you got, sir?
Well, I tell you right now, I got in this frosty mug right now some Wild Bill soda. How about that? How about these guys? Promo code Ron Von D. Get yourself some Wild Bill soda. They've been great to us, Father. They sent me another mug. My custom mug is on the way. They sent me a care package of just ginger ale. Like, these guys are awesome. Veteran owned and operated. Go to wildbillsoda.com. Use the promo code Ron Von D. Get you some.
Love it.
Get you some. Yeah. So we have our video game news right now. So I talked about this game last week, Genshin Impact, which is like a free-to-play, kind of like if you mixed Final Fantasy and Zelda Breath of the Wild, that's this game. I played it for a couple hours. In the 2 hours I had to actually play video games this month, I played this game. It's actually kind of cool. The controls are a little wonky to me, but you get used to them. But this game did $60 million worth of business on mobile alone in its first week, and made well over $100 million in its first week.
Man, the money's out there.
Free-to-play game. The money's out there.
How do we get it? How do we get our hands on it?
We got to make a free-to-play game. That's what it is.
Let's make a game.
And so, speaking of that, free-to-play games, your boy Daredevil is coming to Fortnite.
Ooh, good. Yeah, they got like all these Marvel characters now.
All these, so they have it. I forget what they're calling the event. I don't play Fortnite anymore, but it's they got all these Marvel characters now. So Daredevil is joining the fray. So if you want to download Fortnite again and give it a rip, be my guest. I will not see you on the battlefield, but you guys have some fun.
Yeah, get out there, have a good time.
But speaking of cool looking superheroes, so Game Informer recently did an article on Spider-Man Miles Morales for PlayStation 5. and they had I just retweeted it tonight. They did a sneak peek of one of the suits they're dropping.
Oh, nice.
It is awesome.
Okay.
It involves
I like that.
a leather jacket and a Daft Punk style helmet.
Oh,
it looks fucking cool.
All right.
And this game's going to be awesome. And I just think that the graphics and the colors of this game that we've already seen in the gameplay are going to lend itself well to that outfit, that kind of like electro outfit. So it actually looks really, really cool. So make sure you check that out. I just retweeted it. New Fall Guys map. Season 2 started, I think, last week, right after we did our episode. So Fall Guys Season 2 is in full swing. It's a medieval theme.
Oh, I'll give that a go. I haven't played in a while.
Starting this week or maybe next week. They have a Sonic the Hedgehog skin coming.
Oh, I'll go for that. I like
you need that because your guy, he needs something to hold his hog in.
That's true. That was my biggest problem.
Over it. Yeah, that was the biggest problem. He had to put the gym shorts on him. He keeps tripping over his hog. So I saw a fascinating stat today, Richard.
Okay.
Do you know? And this is the other thing that we kind of get crucified for is our love for PlayStation and our we don't hate Xbox. I would say we are indifferent. Our indifference to Microsoft.
I owned a 360.
So did I.
Yeah.
And I own a PC. So like any game I can play on Xbox, I can play it on my PC. So like I don't need an Xbox. That's where I'm coming from. But PlayStation, in terms of game console pre-sales, PlayStation accounts for 80% of pre-sale consoles. Of all the games the consoles that have been pre-sold, 80% of them have been PlayStations.
Not surprising.
Not surprising. That thing looks tits.
It does.
And the last thing I'll mention today, because it's today and because it's time sensitive, not to timestamp the episode, but today is Prime Day.
Yes.
And you can get a lot of video game stuff, including Nintendo Switches, including games, including PlayStation 5 games, all on sale on Prime right now. So make sure you go check that out. And I will tell you right now, for you Switch owners, I just found a 512 gig SD card that would fit any game and more for like 60% off right now. So if you need that micro SD card to go into your Switch, buy it today because it's like 60% off.
I like that.
Oh, and someone mentioned today, I did forget to mention that the Overwatch Halloween thing started today too.
Oh, perfect.
We always have a good time with that.
I always like that. To jump back into
it. That's always fun.
That. Now I got stuff to play now. I got to get back on Overwatch and Fall Guys. So
right.
All right, that's good stuff. Thank you, Ryan. Are you ready for the topic du jour?
Look. Stop calling me fat.
Nobody has called you fat since we started. And don't listen to him, Ryan. Don't listen to him. It's because the people saying that are fat on the inside and maybe outside. Anyway, I'm glad you asked.
Inside, they're a gross fat person.
Gross.
They may be skinny on the outside.
They may be super handsome. Probably not, though. But they could be.
Probably not, though. Yeah.
Probably gross. But I'm glad you asked because it's the topic of the day, and today it is The Boys Season 2. It is 8 episodes long on Amazon Prime. We actually did an episode earlier. I think it was episode 203, just recapping episodes 1, 2, and 3, because that's how they released it, and then they went one a week after that. I want to say off the top of my head, you can just search it, but episode 137 is The Boys Season 1. So if you want to go back and listen to that and hear what we thought about that and all that other stuff, you can do that. But let's begin, Ryan, as we recap the entire Season 2, spoiler-free, as we do with our movie and TV reviews. Let me start by asking you, did you like it?
Oh, hell yeah! Yeah. This show's the shit.
This show is the shit. This show is the shit. I said it's the best show over the last 2 years. Now, I said that right after I watched it, and I can somehow get caught up in recency bias. However, some of the responses that we got on Twitter, I would say they don't even qualify. Like one guy said, what about Watchmen? And I guess my point was a show that came out in 19 and in 20 and had 2 seasons. Like Watchmen is basically like having an MVP season in a sport and then just retiring. So it was great for 2019, but didn't even participate in 2020. Somebody else mentioned Cobra Kai, which actually was a show from 18 and 19.
Right.
And then the next season's 21, so I wouldn't even count that. Somebody mentioned Barry, which I would say that deserves consideration for sure.
That's top 3. That's top 3 for sure.
Yep. Right. But if you're just talking about shows that had a whole season in 19 and a whole season in 20, I would say The Boys fits the bill. What did you think of the story of Season 2?
I thought what's great is they took kind of this fantastic world that they had and they made it meaningful. Like there was things about this, there's things that characters said about the world we live in now, pre-COVID, that were absolutely true. And I think that was, but it wasn't done in such a way that was overly political, but it was a way that was like,
it wasn't
meaningful.
Zootopia.
Right, yeah, chill with the fucking Zootopia. You're like chill, but like, you get what I'm saying. Like this, it was done in a tasteful way where we kind of, it's kind of a wink and a nod to things that are going on now, but without really hitting you over the head with it, which like Zootopia did.
Yes. Yeah, no, this was, I mean, some a little bit more obvious than others. I also think that the main kind of plot point was good and it kind of like drove the whole season. That each character was kind of tied up into that, but then also tied up into their own thing. Some of those were stronger than others. Like when we get into spoilers, there were some characters that I think some of the stuff that they were doing away from the main thing, like wasn't as interesting to me.
Right.
But the big thing about the show is the characters are so great that I think even if they aren't doing something that is either super important or you're not as interested in, the characters themselves are still so good. So it's like, all right, you're still learning more about Homelander, or you're learning more about Butcher or Mother's Milk or whatever. So no matter what the thing is that they're talking about, you're like getting more of a three-dimensional character as they sort of either go backstory or they give you some of the stuff that they're doing in the present. Like that's really good. The comedy, I think, once again, is good. Like, I think you chuckle. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, Chuck. Yeah. I mean, there are things that it's ridiculous. Like, there are things that happen, and the characters are so over the top that you can't help but laugh at them. Is that kind of what you meant?
Well, yeah. Like, I mean, like it's obviously not Deadpool, but I feel like sometimes the way like Butcher and Huey interact, because they're so different. Like Butcher's such an asshole, but he's funny. Like Homelander is an asshole, but he's funny.
Like I said, they're just ridiculous. Like it's ridiculous to think. And why I laugh a lot,
and like the Deep, like some of the stuff the Deep does. Yeah, it's not a comedy by any means. I'm just saying, like what they've done with a lot of superhero shows, even though you could make a case this is like an anti-superhero show, is there's just a lot of kind of comedy moments kind of between like the big action sequences.
Yeah, and I think for me, I really think watching this that if Superman did exist today, he was in our world, and I know that's a hypothetical and that's a ridiculous thing to say.
Yep.
He would be a little bit of an asshole.
Yeah, it'd be hard.
He would have to be.
Right.
You know,
and I think that's why I've never really liked Superman, is because and the way most of the comics are written and the shows are, like he's not. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I'm with you. This would be a little bit more realistic. Like somebody, I forget who was the one that made the case. I don't know if it's one of the movies now. It all blends together for me. But who said basically Superman would be like, it's like a person playing with ants. Like that's what that is.
Yeah. So that's basically just, the plot of Injustice is that Superman loses his mind.
Yeah.
And it takes a team of superheroes to stop him eventually, but with the Joker blowing up Lois Lane, like that's what it takes in order for him to kind of lose his shit. But, like how much of that can you take? Like how much of it can you, that whole Boy Scout thing?
Oh yeah.
Until you fucking snap.
You'd get bored. You'd get bored with a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. Like how bored would you be if you could do anything to anybody, anytime you wanted?
Right.
And you see that start to crack in him. Like you see that.
Yes. Yeah,
you see, and like there's that one. We'll get into it, but in the spoilers. But he has like a vision of what he can do to these people. Like
that was really cool. I like that part. That was a good scene. I thought the action / violence in this was good. It was like on par with season 1. It's a little toned down from the comic book, but that's also just like so over the top, and which is great on its own. You should read that. But the violence was good because, again, I think this show is perfect for both people who love superheroes and the idea of people that have different abilities, but then also the people that are kind of burnt out by how many superhero shows and movies there are in the world. And I think that's also why kind of Garth Ennis wrote it the way that he did. All the characters are based off of one or two different real characters from Marvel or DC, and they add them together. Like all the teams, like the 7 is the Justice League, and like all this stuff. So it's for everybody in my mind. Now you have to like violence. You have to like some like crude stuff, but don't you think? And maybe I shouldn't say it's for everybody, but for people who would listen to our podcast, it's for everybody that would listen to us.
Absolutely. I think anybody who's listening to this, anybody who's watching this, if you haven't watched The Boys yet, I can't recommend a show more than this, because it's actually it's kind of the same tone. I'm not saying that, but it's that kind of I don't know how to explain it. But
I think is what they would say.
There's a thing about it that kind of makes sense for everyone listening to us right now.
Yes.
I can't explain it, but there's a thing that would make sense. If you are listening to us regularly, you are the type of person who would absolutely love The Boys. And if you're not watching it, you need to watch it today.
Correct. I thought the new characters were good. We'll get into them more in spoilers. The characters in season 1 were already so good. Like, you could have just brought all them back with like one new character. And like, I mean, there's one main new character, but really good.
Was there ever?
How would you compare it to season 1?
In my head, it's the same. It's been consistent throughout, and it's been consistently good throughout. Obviously, there's going to be parts of episodes that are a little bit slower than others, just in terms of pacing. That's going to happen over 9 episodes. There's going to be lulls. There's going to be side stories that you don't really buy into. But I would say that if the main story was how it went, it's been consistent from episode 1 till the end of this season. Has been a consistent, good show.
I agree. I know I gave season 1 a 6. I think I'm going to give this a 5.5. Like, I absolutely loved it. I think that it just was maybe a little worse, or I should not even worse. Just the first one might have been a little bit better in that kind of sense. Like some of the scenes or some of the moments. And it's also like, I give it credit because it was like they did such a good job of like introducing these characters. And I'm fascinated to see where it goes. Like, it's already been picked up for a season 3. It's already been picked up for a spinoff. So I'm interested in all of that. But I go 5.5. What do you go for season 2?
I think it's so hard. I mean, I think I'm somewhere between a 5.5 and a 6, but I'm going to call it a 5.5.
Okay.
Because we only do half stones here, right?
I don't know.
I don't know anymore.
Quarter stone?
I have no idea. How can we do like a 66.66 repeating? I don't know.
Order 66.
But like you said, I think what drew me into the original season 1 was that these characters were new, and these characters, I'm surprised by everything that they did. And now they're starting to develop a little bit more, starting to change a little bit. So I'm not really that surprised anymore at the direction they're going, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
So the shock value and like the holy shit value is kind of gone. So that's why I would take a little bit off of this one, but it's still incredibly well done.
All right. I think that's it. I mean, as far as non-spoilers are concerned, right?
Yeah. And if I'm pausing, if I'm thinking about what I'm saying, it's because I was waiting to not spoil anything.
All right. So good. So I think everybody now that's listening to you have seen it. So spoilers. I think there's always a couple of different ways to do this, especially when it's a TV show and there's just so many more hours than just recapping a movie. But I think rather than going through each episode, everybody's already seen the episodes. Let's just hit on some of the main characters. And then I think within those characters, we'll get to like the scenes. Like best and worst from each character will also lead to like just their story arc alone, and kind of maybe jumping forward to season 3 also.
Sure.
So let's start with Billy Butcher, because season 1 ends with an absolute cliffhanger. And then so season 2, you're wondering, all right, well, what the hell is going to happen? Like, he knows that his wife is alive, his wife's son, sort of what the truth is about all of that. Homelander, like, how is he going to survive that? And so basically his whole drive this season is to get Becca back, right? I think that's what he's trying to do. That's what his drive is. And I think most of it was really good. Some of the side stuff with him and his dad, I didn't care about as much.
No, and that was an odd thing, because they mention in the beginning when they're with his aunt, when they're with Butcher's aunt, that Huey looks like his brother,
Lenny.
And so there was definitely a connection there, but I don't really see the point. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just humanizing him and talking. So I think the idea I'm putting on my teacher cap, right? is his relationship with his father and his relationship with his now son, who's, his wife's son, who he's now promised to take care of. How does that factor in? Will that factor into the next season?
Which is interesting because he promised Becca that he would take care of Ryan, and Ryan obviously has powers but doesn't really know how to use them all that well. But then you see him giving Ryan to Mallory in the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
So on the one hand, is that him being like, hey, this is the best way that I can take care of him by not actually watching him? Or what do you think he does like next season? You think it's sort of one of those like he checks in on him type of deal?
Yeah, I think he checks in on him. I think eventually there's going to be some sort of conflict there. There's some internal conflict, some sort of change of heart that he has, that he sees a lot of his wife in the boy. And
yeah, he must, because the boy is definitely something. The boy would rather make Lego videos of old movies, and
which were
like
great,
that.
By the way, kid. You did a good job.
They were nice. Now, I don't know if Homelander and Stormfront enjoyed them as much as your mom did, but and so he's got like powers, but doesn't really know how to use them just yet, type of thing.
But I think what's interesting too is that if you listen to Homelander talk about how talking to Ryan about how he was brought up,
right?
And he's like, basically, all these people who raised me just wanted something from me. They didn't care about me. I had to figure all this stuff out on my own. And I don't want that for you. And I think Ryan, that's what the exact situation that Butcher just put him in. Right. So this kid might lose his shit.
He might go Homelander route.
Yeah.
I think there's a better chance than not that he goes.
And they have to bring
road.
in Butcher and everyone to stop him.
Yeah, it could definitely be that. I love Butcher. Butcher in the comics is such a badass. Like he really is. He's such a badass, and I would say he's pretty badass in this. Like he's like a 10 out of 10 in the books. This he's probably more like a 7 out of 10.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but in the books he's way stronger.
Yeah. Well, they also all will like gas up and like so they can compete and fucking beat the shit out of Soup.
So they would like take because I remember one scene early on when Butcher actually gave the compound to Huey.
Yeah. Right. And killed a guy.
Yes.
Yeah. They're like, dude, you're not supposed to do that. And he's like, well, what? But that's how they compete. Because obviously the female
wasn't it the invisible guy? Wasn't it what's his name?
Translucent. Yeah. It wasn't supposed to do that. But I mean, Billy's always good. He's a good leader of the show. And I thought it was a cool scene when like he brings Becca back to like their safe house, and like all the characters are like looking at him because like they've never really seen him like this, like in love. Because like his whole drive has been he hates any superhero because of what happened to his wife. Like that's his whole entire drive. And that's why she probably did have to die. Again, I kind of like how like season 1, the big twist is that she's actually alive. And then at the end of season 2, it's like, oh no, she gets killed by her son. So like that I think is pretty good. And it's going to continue to drive Butcher because what would have been the motivation if she was safe? Probably not as much,
And it's funny. I had a conversation with my wife in the last scene they were in kind of together when he's like, the plan's changed. He's like, Mother's Milk's going to take you out of here. Go. Yeah. I struck this deal. I don't want to do the deal anymore. Just go. And she's like, keeps like trying to convince him to go with her.
Yeah.
My wife looks over to her right at me and she goes, I'm fucking out of there. Like you stay. Like if there ever comes a situation where you're like, leave me here. You and the girls go. She's like, I'm fucking gone. It's not even a discussion.
No,
she's like, you fucked it. Like, fine, bye.
It's just good stuff.
Yeah, there's not even a discussion there. It's just like,
see you later. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm saving you. So that's what that is. Huey Campbell, he is kind of what he is. Like I think standalone, like it wouldn't be a character for me anyway that I'd be super interested in. But I think his dynamic within the boys is good because they really have a character, all different personalities, and it's the blend of them together. And then you learn in this season that Billy must see Huey kind of like as his brother, like small, kind of like smaller, not as strong as he is.
And I always
go along to get along.
Yeah, and I always feel like Huey is the control group. Like there's nothing really special about him.
Right.
Like even Starlight's mother is
my god, just shits on him.
Like even that guy, what'd she say with the moist handshake?
Handshake.
What she's calling like the nervous kid with the moist handshake.
Oh my god!
Like, and in my mind, he's the everyman. He's us, right? He's us in this world.
If we got thrown into this, and he got thrown into it in a crazy way,
And he's useless. And he even says like he's useless. Like there's nothing he doesn't do anything right ever.
But he did go back to save Starlight
with the star witness who they needed to testify, and he let him. And I love how they say like Huey let him light himself on fire. Like what the fuck was I supposed to do?
Well, he did bring him there, and it was a mistake because he was content watching 7 porn parodies. All he wanted to do was watch porno, Davey. That's all he wanted to do, and he wouldn't let him. So he let him up, and then Lamplighter. Who hilarious, by the way. So Lamplighter,
people who watch porn just to watch porn, just like sit, like I would watch Super Troopers, or just sit and watch,
just watching one after another.
Those people disturb me. Played by your boy, Iceman.
Iceman. So how about that? So Iceman from the original X-Men trilogy, Sean Ashmore plays Lamplighter, and basically Lamplighter is Pyro. Like he's
the exact opposite of Iceman.
Which is the exact opposite. He was his nemesis in those movies. And it's funny because Lamplighter / Pyro, like I guess it's a good power. They can't create the fire like Human Torch. They can only manipulate it.
So much like Wheeler from Captain Planet, the fire guy.
Fire guy. But it was pretty fucked up when you're introduced to Lamplighter, because you had heard of Lamplighter because he used to be in the 7, but now you get introduced to him in this season, and basically he's just like destroying evidence, and that evidence would be Soup's gone wrong.
And this was my remember.
That's pretty messed up.
A while ago, I pitched this idea to you that like there is a comic that we could write about the Xavier School for the Gifted, where technically people are mutants, but their gifts are like crap.
Right.
Like and the one guy, one of the most. Oh, this was my favorite moment of the season. My favorite, like, holy shit moment of the season is when Mother's Milk. They're in, and 6 was probably my favorite episode. The one where they were in the hospital.
Yeah, that was a good one. Do you know what the character's name is?
You wrote it in the outline. I'm going to let you say it though.
The character that was I know you're about to say was choking Mother's Milk.
Yeah,
Love Sausage.
So Love Sausage. There's these misfit kind of cast off Soups, right?
Yeah.
And so they're running through, trying to get out of this hotel, and all of a sudden there's like this big octopus tentacle that wraps around Mother's Milk's neck and is choking the life out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Lo and behold, it is a person's schwanz.
It's a person's
just a big uncut dong,
enormous, like an anaconda snake.
I think there was a choice there to make it uncircumcised that it was for the extra gross out factor.
They wanted to do that.
They wanted it. It was a thing.
They wanted to go there, and they absolutely did. So that was introduced Love Sausage into the mix. Pretty good. Yeah, that was
good.
I also
that other Soup that was in there that was like crushing people and like she with the shaved head. She was badass. I don't think she had a name. She didn't have any speaking lines.
I don't think so. She was intense though. If you could get her on your side, that's somebody you'd want.
It's something else.
She was really good. But Mother's Milk was also good. I like when Butcher was like, "Hey, this isn't your fight, guys. Like, I just got to go get Becca." And Mother's Milk's like, the shit that we've been through, and like now you can actually do some good, and you're gonna turn us down. Like, you're not gonna do this.
Like, absolutely not. And I loved Frenchie's I'm jumping around.
Go ahead. Go to Frenchie.
His the fucking weapons that he decides to make that are gonna somehow work, and they're like, "Is this gonna work?" And he's like, "I don't fucking know."
He's like, "We'll see."
He puts like electromagnetic pulses on an RPG, and they're like, "Is that even gonna work?" He's like, "I don't fucking know."
Yeah, no, he's the Donatello of that group.
Absolutely.
My man knows machines,
and it was a great story with him to getting his backstory.
Yeah, really was. It was,
excellent.
And like that really kind of that's what they did probably better in this season was a little bit more on Mother's Milk, Frenchie, and the female to kind of round them out and sort of say, all right, what's their motivation? Why are they here? What did they do in their past? And like that moment with Frenchie, like he feels completely responsible for Lamplighter being able to kill Mallory's daughter. You know, like he puts that on him. I would say though, the female who I love is like one of my favorite characters. The stuff with her brother I thought went on a little long. Like I didn't need all of that, but
was that 2 episodes?
I feel like it was. Was it 2 and 3?
It should have been 1.
Yeah, I think you could have done less of it. I think you could have done
no, because they found him. Remember, he flipped the boat over on top of the guy, and then the whole next episode they're on the boat.
Oh yeah.
But that led to one of the better, more memorable scenes of the show with the boat driving into the deep, driving into the whale.
Right into the whale.
And we mentioned it on the last time we talked about the boys, but like, it was Huey just sitting inside the whale. He was just like, I'm done, man. I can't. I forget what he said. What did he say? He was just like, they're like, come on, we gotta go. And he's like, no. Like he's sitting inside of a fucking whale.
The best was the deep, the way how proud the deep looked sitting on top of the whale. Like, of course this will stop him.
He had the fucking pose with his hands on his hips. Yeah,
so good.
Such a stiff.
The really memorable scene too, obviously, was the female Starlight Queen Maeve team up against Stormfront at the end.
What did they say? And what was it? The girls get it done.
Girls get it done. They've been telling you that since episode 1.
Telling you that since episode 1. Girls get it done, and just a good old fashioned ass kicking.
You know
just
what?
Stomping on Nazis. You know
what was outrageous is Starlight mentions her 3 favorite candies. 3 favorite candies all time.
All right.
Almond Joy, Charleston Chew, and Bit O' Honey. Almond Joy is her favorite. Now, Almond Joy did come back. It was a nice callback. Turns out the Black Noir doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, but a nut allergy is one
Tree
of them.
nuts. Yeah.
Tree nuts. We'll get them.
I will say something to you right now that I am not ashamed of and refuse to apologize for. I fucking love Almond Joys.
You love Almond Joys?
I love them.
Wow. I thought that
not my favorite candy, but
it's a hotter take than I'm used to.
My brother and sister, when we used to go trick or treating, I would trade.
You'd get all of them.
I would trade like candy, like fireballs for my brother. I would just give him all my fireballs. He would give me all his Almond Joys.
Look at that.
I don't like a fireball.
No.
I was actually fireballs and warheads. I would just give those to him, and he would give me the.
And you can't really eat a fireball while you're also enjoying other candy because it just ruins the flavor of all the other candy.
Absolutely.
But
I love an Almond Joy.
It is good. I liked Starlight, I feel like, more in season 1 than I did in season 2. I thought a lot of like the Starlight Huey stuff was like fine.
That was a
season.
There was a whole episode devoted to that, and I get it. It develops the characters and helps the characters in their relationship. I get it. But here's the problem I had with Starlight. So Starlight's ability is to absorb electricity and put it out, right? That's her whole thing.
I think so.
Why wouldn't she be able to, if Stormfront shoots lightning, for her to absorb it,
shoot it right back,
put it back at her?
Good question.
I was thinking the whole fight they were in, like, why can't she, if she absorbs electricity, why can't she just like take it and shoot it back?
I don't know.
That's a good question, right?
That is a good question.
Yeah.
Speaking of Stormfront, she was the big new character this season. And you know me, I love a bad guy who some people think is a good guy, or like the good guy, bad guy, like switcheroo type of thing.
Yep.
And so this one was pretty obvious, but still, like publicly, she's joining the 7, and so you're expecting her to be this big thing. But you also find out that she was originally Liberty. That was pretty cool. And now she comes back, she's Stormfront, and she was actually married to Vought, like the OG Vought, and was the first successful Compound V superhero. Like
so
transfusion or whatever.
She is the Nazi Captain America.
Yeah, she is. But then it also got me thinking that if Vought was so known to be like working with the Nazis, there wouldn't be a big Vought Industries in America.
But they had those scientists who were expatriates from Germany who came over and like started helping the United States government. Like that was a thing.
Okay.
They were taking doctors and scientists from Germany.
I guess. Because my first thought was like, there would never be a Hitler Enterprises or Industries.
No.
Like there just wouldn't be. And I'm like, if Vought was that bad, but I guess maybe they were kind of spinning it like taking the science thing. But you're like, I don't know.
No, it's far-fetched, but there were all those, I think, wasn't Heisenberg one of them? Like the real Heisenberg, not the Breaking Bad one.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. But
I was doing meth.
No, I don't think so. But anyway,
she was pretty good, and it was funny. I loved the relationship with her and Homelander. You got some sacks,
some pretty good superhero sacks,
some athletic sacks between the two of them, but it was really interesting too because you get the two of them talking with their goals, and like they agree on some things, but then other things they're like very different. And like Homelander's kind of going along with it, and some of her stuff when she started like turned into like a race war, and like it was great. Homelander's like looking at her like, wait, I didn't sign up for that. Like that,
right?
That ain't me.
When she starts talking to his son, and he's kind of like looking at her like, what? And she's
like,
you are the first naturally made superhero, right. And he's like, you're gonna, and she starts talking about like our kind, and he's like,
Homelander's like,
you can see him go like,
like pulling didn't sign up for this, which leads me into Homelander, who I think, Ryan, is one of the great TV characters maybe ever. Like, I think he is so good. I think the actor Anthony Starr does a great job, but also just the way he's written, like he is the thing we were talking about before about how Superman, if he's bad, but he's not all bad. Like, he's a horrible guy, yes, but then there's moments there with his son that I think he actually wanted like a real relationship with his son and wanted what was best for him. And there were certain times that like Stormfront was the one kind of pulling him away or like forcing things on him. And that's on him for like listening to her. But at the same time, he's not all bad either. Like, he's a little bit more complicated than that.
No, and I think there's this.
I mean, he's horrible. Like, I have a hard time saying it's not like that plane scene from season 1 is just is unbelievable. But yet there's like Stormfront, as you ended up finding out by the end of it, was like all bad. Like all bad. Like Nazi bad.
Not really. We'll get into that. Yeah.
You don't think Stormfront was all bad?
I think
because Homelander, I think there's at least like there's some good. And I thought it was interesting because this year, without Madeline Stillwell, you're like, all right, who can even break through to him? And
there's always that motherly thing with him that there's that Freudian thing that he's always looking to like bang his mom, which is odd.
Dude, speaking of, maybe the craziest scene. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of crazy scenes in The Boys. That's the beauty of the show. But maybe the biggest jaw dropper, I didn't mean to put it that way, was when, I think it's episode 4, Homelander is hooking up with Madeline. He's hanging out and hooking up with Madeline Stillwell. And you're like, played by Elizabeth Shue.
Is it a dream?
Like, I'm like, yeah, what the fuck? I'm like, I didn't, like, she definitely was dead, right? Yeah. That's my first thought. Turns out, it's the soup doppelganger who's like this fat, out of shape guy who he makes pretend to be her, but he can't do it for super long. And
he's like, it hurts. He's like, what do you say? He's like, it's uncomfortable.
But he's playing Madeline Stillwell this whole time. She got like the cleavage out, so he's leaning up against her. That's his thing. And then he turns back into doppelganger, and then he screams at him to turn back.
Yeah.
And so he turns back into Stillwell for like a minute. Then he turns into Homelander, and it's a mirror match blowjob, which I was not ready for.
So
what?
The psychology of that is just something that I am not prepared to talk about or qualified to talk about.
I didn't have enough schooling.
Holy smokes.
Break that down. I'm like, what am I watching?
Like, how do you feel about giving yourself a blowjob?
I wouldn't stand for it. I don't think.
I don't think so either. I don't think I would like that one guy.
I wouldn't. I don't think so. Question mark.
It just reminds me.
That'll be our poll question tomorrow.
It reminds me of what was the Zach and Miri, the Dutch rudder? Like, it reminds me.
Yeah.
I hold and you use my arm and I use your arm, so it's we're not touching each other.
Yeah, that was bizarre. Oh, also at the end, that scene of him standing on top of the building, like jacking off.
Now, did that happened in the beginning of the first season, right? That's how the first season started. Am I wrong?
No, you're wrong. I believe the story is that was the one thing Amazon told them they couldn't do. They like filmed it for season 1, and Amazon was like, "All right, like let's not."
But I thought there was something.
So. Maybe there was something like that, but I think this was. Maybe you heard that story. This was. They put in here. Now they don't show him like actually like onto stuff, but
give him
that
stuff. Yeah,
I think he's like head and shoulders the best character on the show. Like any scene he's in is worth. Like you can't be distracted. Like he commands the screen.
It's a fascinating character, and
Yes.
It's played so well.
Because all the other superheroes are scared of him.
Right, because he's so temperamental. Like you could see in this one, I love that the social media aspect of it. Stormfront kept bringing it up, and they kept bringing up like his polling numbers and how he's doing in the polls, and like how many points he's up and down.
It's all about memes. It's all about Facebook memes.
It's all about Facebook, and that was one of the things I was waiting, because that's something that like it's talked a little bit about in current MCU movies and stuff, but the aspect of like social media and how powerful of a tool that is, and how the media controls everything that we think, we see, and do.
Right.
And Stormfront being at the forefront of that, and having people whose job it was to create memes and to further that agenda by propaganda, which memes, by the way, memes, all of those things that you see, that's all propaganda. Like that's all that is. And they even make mention of the fact there's pictures of her with Goebbels, who was like the head of propaganda. Not like, so she knows this stuff. Mm-hmm. She knows how it works. She's seen it done over time. And I thought that was pretty brilliant. But to have Homelander be so dumb to that stuff and not really understand, because he just assumed all the time that he was the favorite.
Yeah, and there's an interesting scene where Stormfront thinks their goal is to no longer be like, we won't have to be in like these large crowds. We won't be like celebrities anymore. We're just going to be like the top of the food chain. And like she like refers to it in some way, and he like kind of gives her a look too, like, because he likes all that stuff. Like he likes being famous. He likes being liked. Like he cares about being liked publicly.
Oh yeah,
like all those speeches, and like that's why. And you referenced it before. One of the best scenes too to me was they were told like he fucked up. There was an image of him killing somebody, like an innocent, and he was like, "Yeah, there's collateral damage type of thing." And so they were just like, "You got to lay low." And he's like, "Nope, I'm actually going to go to this rally and I'm going to like explain myself."
Yeah.
And they're all like screaming at him and throwing stuff at him. And like for a second in his head, he wipes everybody out, which is what he easily could do. He easily could just 1,000 people in front of him, he could kill them all in a second, and they couldn't do anything to him. And so that happened. And I'm like, did that fucking? And like, nope, he was just like daydreaming, and then it went back.
And it reminds me of, there was a College Humor thing with Pete Holmes playing Batman. They couldn't say Batman, but like,
yeah.
The guy, Superman, comes to Pete Holmes playing Batman, and he's like, "We need to team up." And he goes, "Why?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Because your detective mind," he goes, "doesn't mean a fucking thing. Like you could punch a hole in the world. Like what the fuck do you need me for?" Right.
Yeah, you make
you don't need me.
That's the thing, is like you make any of these characters so powerful, then it's like, how are they possibly up against it ever? And that's why all my favorite characters, I didn't even realize this, but like all my favorite characters, we did an episode like years ago, and we were drafting teams of like superheroes, and like all my guys, like I think for the most part, don't have powers. Like I remember that. Yeah. I love Red Hood. I love Batman. I love Green Arrow. I love Punisher. I love like all these guys. Like none of them have powers. Like they're good at stuff.
Interesting. That's interesting. We could do an episode on that, and the psychology of you
unpack
not
that.
Anti-superhero.
What's weirder, me liking superheroes without powers, or giving yourself a bajay?
Let's unpack that in this week's Dork.
That's next.
So
yeah, I'm just a big fan of Homelander. I think he is the show. I think all the characters are like, at worst, I think the characters are good. Like the worst character on The Boys is at least good, and then you have Homelander. To me, is kind of next level. We got to talk about Congresswoman Victoria Newman.
Oh yes.
So this is like another big reveal at the end, and sort of big tease into season 3. So this is actually kind of interesting. A little bit of a look at the comics. There's a character in the comics he's the vice president. He is Victor Newman. And he is like an over the top parody of George W. Bush. Like he's like way over the top, kind of like a buffoon type character. So they take Victoria Newman, and they've done this a few times where they've done like the male female switch for the show. Right. And so she's Congresswoman, and clearly kind of like a nod to AOC today. Like that's kind of, I think, where they're going. But you find out, and you had no idea that she's the assassin.
The head exploder.
she's blowing up heads. She did it to Raynor, like early on in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Then she did it at the courthouse there, popping heads left and right.
The Church of the Collective, is that what it's called?
Yeah, the leader at the end there, I think it's Alistair.
Alistair, yeah.
Blows his head up. And now, so she's running for Congress, and now the end is Huey Campbell is joining her campaign. And so what do you think her motivation is? Because if you look at the people that she killed, you have Dr. Jonah Vogelbaum, who was Homelander's dad, like de facto dad. It was like the big up in Vought for a while. Susan Raynor and Alistair. So like what, and obviously way more people too, but like those were the ones that jump. Like what?
So I think her motivation is she's running on this platform that basically is anti-Vought. So if Vought doesn't exist, if Vought gets taken down, she's got nothing. She got nothing to run on. So her whole platform is anti-Vought. So anybody who could possibly, so the guy, the Church of the Collective had all that dirt on Stormfront. They had all those people who could, who's the guy, I forget his, who, the guy in the wheelchair.
Church of the Collective? Oh no,
the guy in the
Vogelbaum.
Vogelbaum.
Yeah.
He could potentially testify. Anybody who could potentially testify and take down Vought, gone. Because she needs that to stand up against. She needs that as her platform.
Smart. That makes a ton of sense, actually. It's so, but she's obviously a soup in disguise. Nobody knows who she is, and she's got one of the craziest powers because she killed Raynor like early. Remember, we didn't know who that was. They didn't know who that was. They had no idea. Oh, that is.
But the longer that goes on, the more they push this whole super terrorist thing.
Yeah,
and the worse they look. So I think. So someone said in the chat she works for Vought. She could either work for Vought, or I think that's what she needs to. She needs to take Vought down in order to be president.
Well, because my other question was, in the room, it was Homelander. Was it Stormfront and Starlight? Were they all in the room?
No, Starlight wasn't there. Starlight. I thought Starlight was she. That's when she was captured.
Okay, but it was definitely Homelander, Stormfront. Couple other people were in the room.
Was Maeve there too?
Maybe Maeve.
Yeah.
Do you think she could kill them?
She could because she got
Shockwave.
She got Shockwave.
She killed Shockwave, but I wonder if Homelander's like immune to that, or if any of them are immune to that.
Maybe,
we don't know. But I was like, yeah, because she left them alive, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's obviously going to be a huge part in season 3. I wonder if they're going to add like another kind of villain as well to kind of combine with her.
Well, I think we didn't get enough Gus Fring here. I keep calling him Gus Fring. I know that's not his. Is it
Gus
Ellis?
Fring's fine. Yeah, we could use more Gus Fring. We didn't really hit much on the Deep and A Train. Their story was obviously very much tied up in the Church of the Collective, and like which one were they going to let back in? I did
sounded a little bit like Scientology. A little bit. You got to pay me money.
Very Scientology. Like I did love when they were trying to get those guys in, and one of them they talk to the Deep, and they're like, "What do you think of Eagle the Archer?" She's like, "He's a great guy. Like great guy. I love that guy."
Brother to me.
And they're like, "Well, he's actually like a piece of shit, and he's like hates the Church of the Collective." He's like, "Oh yeah, fuck that guy."
Fuck that guy. You were to have no association with him at all. Oh yeah, fuck that guy. I knew something was off with him. Fuck him.
Good. So. Yeah, A-Train's kind of like whatever, and like he was kind of working both sides of it. Like his only goal is to get back in the 7, so he didn't really care. Like he would join the Church of the Collective for that. He would help out Starlight. He'd give her a hard time. He would like kind of like intermittent. Like he's kind of like a lesser character for sure. You know, as far as like a character that's in the 7. He's kind of at the bottom there. And we forgot to. There was a great, and we didn't bring him up either. But speaking of lesser 7, Black Noir had a great episode. Yeah, they were in Hunting Butcher. He's great. And there's definitely more about Black Noir in the comic that I'm not going to spoil here.
Right.
But there's some good stuff with Black Noir. They used him way more in this season than season 1, which was cool. He's obviously super powerful, except you can't give him an almond joy.
You can't give him, no tree nuts, right?
Yeah. Ooh, Joshua in the chat says he thinks Gus Fring is kind of directing Victoria. That'd be interesting.
Makes sense.
Could be.
I don't know. I feel like if I don't. Anything I could come up with, I hope it's hard to explain, but like if I can come up with it, I don't want it to be that.
No, that's true. Yeah, because that happened with like a lot of like the Star Wars movies recently, and I was like,
if I can guess what's going to happen, like I don't want it to be that.
Like, I also thought one of the really intense, maybe the most intense scene is if you go back to the beginning of episode 7, where it's like it's on a loop, and they show the montage of the guy who ends up killing the convenience store clerk. That was fucking crazy, but just like showing you like the media and just like the routine of that guy's like monotonous kind of life and like what led to that. And that was definitely one of those ones where it kind of brought you, they do a good job of being like, it's a superhero show, but it's also like some real heavy shit too. That like,
and this is kind of this is kind of the stuff that I was alluding to. Like this guy is in this cycle and you see it like you refer to it as a cycle. So he's doing the same routine every day. He's hearing the same stuff every day. And this is how things get indoctrinated in people's heads. And this is how people become who they are, is they hear the same shit over and over and over. In the educational world, we call it reinforcement. If things are reinforced enough, eventually they'll stick. Right. Yeah. So this is the stuff I was kind of talking about. And the idea of, as silly as they may be, I mean, you go on, there's a great joke. I forget the comedians. Taylor Tomlinson says in her stand-up special on Netflix, where she's like, every once in a while I go on Facebook to check to see if my family's still racist. Just kidding. I don't have to go on Facebook. So, but that idea of like people sharing these things that aren't even real. They're just like something that someone made up, but they're sharing them and spreading them, and how poisonous this stuff can be. And I'm not talking about one side or the other. It's just both sides.
They're just misinformation, just like it's things that become taken as fact.
But if I tell you the same thing every day, right, that these people are bad, these people are going to harm us, this is what's going to happen, like the indoctrination of this stuff.
Yeah, that was
regardless
heavy.
Of what it is, is just bad for everybody.
Oh yeah,
for
sure.
And I even superheroes. Even superheroes who keep hearing the same thing over and over and over again, and it almost took down the greatest superhero in the show.
Yeah.
He bought into what Stormfront was telling him over and over and over again. Like, you are the best one of us. You are the strongest. You know what I mean?
So
and
now
pumping his tires.
Yeah. And so Stormfront, we didn't even mention this, but not dead. Stormfront looks.
They say she's not dead. Yeah.
The one of the showrunners said she is not dead. And again, they don't show like a finishing blow. They just show like, was it legs and arms?
Legs and one arm.
And one arm.
She
and
went
then like
Anakin Skywalker.
Burnt.
Yeah.
And super burnt. And it'll be interesting because she could probably, based on like her powers that she has and like her lack of aging at a normal rate, she could probably live in that kind of pain for like a super long time. So I wonder what they're going to do with her, but I bet she pops up maybe, or at least is mentioned in the next season.
And I'm paraphrasing right now, but as she's laying there, she's speaking in German and she's talking. I went and I researched it to see what she was saying in German. And she was I'm paraphrasing, but she was basically describing a day with her husband and her daughter by the river underneath an apple tree. And it was the first time her daughter ever tasted a real apple, and what a great day that was. And she keeps talking about, she keeps saying the same thing. So in all of this, I mean, she was doing these horrible, horrible things, but her best memory is a day spent with her husband and her daughter underneath an apple tree, just like having with her family.
Well, and
so,
and
that was, yeah.
I was going to say, she also had a really memorable line. I'm going to butcher it, but it was something along the lines of, like, people actually really agree with, like, all the ideologies that I have, but they just don't like the term Nazi.
They just don't like the word Nazi.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a super...
I was like, oh, boy.
like there are people...
That's going to piss people off. Yeah.
Oh, but, like, she's not wrong.
No.
And I like, like, there are people who believe that... I don't want to fucking. We're not getting political.
We need to go there.
There are people who are more in line with her beliefs than you think they are. They just don't like that word.
Yeah, right. I understand. I know we're bouncing around, but we've kind of got through most of it. Going back to the Deep and A Train and the Church of the Collective for a second. What was the deal with the Fresca anyway? Was there even?
I have no idea. That? I'm glad that they paid off the Billy Joel thing because that was really starting to bother me.
They did. They straight up explained Billy Joel.
They straight up that, and it was. that was a really good thing, but they never paid off the Fresca, and that pissed me off.
Yeah, the Fresca thing was weird. The one great line was when Alistair, I think it's Alistair, he offered Gus Fring a Fresca, and he's like, no, that's gross. He was basically like, that's awful. That's awful.
Yeah.
No, I'll have a water if you have a goddamn Fresca. We mentioned in the last episode the Patton Oswalt as the Deep's gills was pretty funny. Like that was pretty good.
That was pretty funny. Yeah. That's
so
pretty good.
Now we're going into season 3. When you look at the 7, which is obviously the big group in Vought and in the entire world.
And technically, there's 4 of them.
So you have Homelander, Queen Maeve, Starlight, and then I guess you could bring back, even though they were like, hey, you bring back 1, it's a good story. You bring back 2 and its weakness.
Yeah.
You could bring back the Deep and A-Train. And you have Black Noir.
Yep. Who technically. They said he's a vegetable now, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. But he's alive.
He's alive.
All right. So you have 6, and that's assuming you bring both A-Train and the Deep back, and that's assuming Black Noir can recover, which he may not be able to.
And you bring
I think he will.
Love sausage.
I think Black Noir will survive, and I hope that he does, because there's a cool thing from the comic book that I would like them to do in the show. So I'm hoping that he comes back.
I don't think I read that one.
And so there might be in the market for filling that spot too, which would be a pretty cool stuff. Like that'd be recruiting somebody else. So got that. Anything? Oh, so there is a season 3. Also, the spinoff I think is going to be either called the G-Men or about the G-Men, which is sort of like a school college based thing of Vought superheroes, which is like obviously their copy of the X-Men, but
right?
It's the G-Men in this, and so that'd be pretty good.
Look out for that. Yeah, for sure.
Look out for that. Anything else, Fry?
It's a great show, man. Watch it.
It's a great show.
Watch it. Yeah.
People love the show. All right, let's get to the pick of the pod.
Pick of the pod.
Pick of the pod.
Pick of the pod. Pick of the pod.
All right, would you like to kick, receive, defer, or you also may defend a goal?
I will defend this side today. I don't think I've ever picked defend a goal, so that's why I'm doing it now.
All right, well, then that means I will receive the other way. If
Okay.
you're going to defend that goal, I'll go over here and I'll receive. One, I actually just did this. I ordered a classic treat yourself situation.
Oh.
I just ordered every issue of The Boys.
Hey.
They sell them in, I think it's 6 omnibuses. Because there's like a total of 72. I think it's 72 issues. So you can either get 12 like collected editions, like 12 of those, or like 6 omnibuy. So I got 6 of those on the way. I haven't finished it all yet. And so I've read like more than half of it. So now I'm going to start from the beginning and read. I should have done this before, but whatever. I'm going to do it now.
By the way, that was a great use of the second declension nominative plural, by the way. You did a really good job.
I wasn't sure if I was right. That's why I sped through it.
I don't think in English it's omnibuy, but in Latin it absolutely would be. So
probably
good
not.
job.
So I'm looking forward to that very much. I'm going to read through all of that, and I'd love to discuss it with anybody who's read them all. Don't spoil it for me yet, because I have not gotten all the way to the end. This isn't exactly a pick. This is sort of like I mentioned it last week that I was going to start watching it. Actually, I mentioned a couple of things. Neither have really lived up to it so far. I finished Ratchet on Netflix, about Nurse Ratchet.
I know. I'm waiting to see what you say. I'm leaning
Not
in.
great.
Okay. I knew it.
You were right. It was not great. I was disappointed with it. I am also 4 episodes into The Haunting of Bly Manor. Pretty bad.
My wife is watching it. She said it's nowhere near as good as the first season. It's not as compelling. It's
slow.
It's slow.
Slow. Like some of the stuff is creepy. Like Haunted House, when you involve like little kids and ghosts and shit, like that will scare me. Like it'll be like, yeah, like you might, woo, but not good. Not a good show. One show that is good. I want it to be more horror themed, but it's not. One show that me and my wife started watching on Prime. You might have mentioned this show actually a while ago. Red Oaks. Have you seen Red Oaks?
No, but someone told me to watch it. I think we talked about it. But
so you will like Red Oaks. So
okay,
it's an Amazon Prime show that came out a few years ago, and it's kind of like a cult hit. Like I certainly never saw it when it first came out, and it's about takes place in the 80s, and it's kids, like college age kids who are working at a the fuck would you call it? Like that has like a golf course and a club, like a tennis court, a country club, working at a country club, and the head guy at the country club is played by Paul Reiser, and he's like
of the wiffle ball fame
of My Pitch, and he's like a jackass. And so it's weird. Season 1 is 10 episodes, and they're like 24 minutes long. Season 2 is 10. Season 3 is 6. We are into the second season, and I can already tell you the first season's way better. The second season, I'm already like, all right, not as good. But the first season, worth giving it a shot. I think you'd like it.
Check it out.
But anyway, what do you got?
So there's a show on, I'm going to go rare HBO Max. There's a show on called A World of Calm. Now, there is an app that I'm a frequent user of. It's called Calm. You can get the app. It's a guided kind of, what do they call it? Like a guided meditation app. CALM.
CALM. Okay.
A mindfulness app.
Oh.
So they have a show now, which is basically just like, it came out October 1st, and it's basically just these episodes, variety of relaxation and sleep aids, but
we could use that.
Narrated by the likes of Priyanka Chopra, Idris Elba, Oscar Isaac, Nicole Kidman, Zoe Kravitz, Lucy Liu, Cillian Murphy, Keanu Reeves, Kate Winslet, and Mahershala Ali, who, as you know, I love Mahershala Ali's voice.
I thought you were going to say Gilbert Gottfried.
No, that would be something. So it's kind of, they describe it as a timely antidote for our modern lives. Each half-hour episode takes audiences on an immersive visual journey into another world. Each relaxing tale is designed to transform how you feel. So if you're anxious, you could just pop on this show and have these very famous voices kind of guide you through this kind of like mindfulness thing.
That's cool.
It's excellent.
Yeah, I like that.
Excellent. So
That's
definitely, if you're having a rough day, it's on HBO Max. Check it out.
Cool.
It's called The World of Calm.
I like that.
And get the Calm app. I think you can get, there's a free version of it.
Oh. Yeah.
And I think Calm, for our educators out there, Calm and Headspace are free if you're an educator.
Ooh.
I use Headspace for free because I teach. So there you go.
I could use that. I've been sleeping like an asshole lately.
How about a little mindfulness minute we get going on here?
Mindfulness minute.
I can guide you through a meditation like this.
Oh, I just fell asleep.
I can really get into it and talk like that the whole episode.
That's actually kind of nice.
Right?
I'm closing my eyes.
It's kind of nice. Yeah.
I kind of like that, actually.
Let's
That's
do that.
soothing.
Davey's mindfulness minute.
Yeah, I like that.
Where I just basically
flip the script on the pod now. Where we
I
just
insult you, but do it calmly.
Wow. For somebody who's your age, you are a real piece of shit.
Well, it's got nothing to do
I
with
hope
age.
you can turn your life around.
That's not going to happen.
Because goddamn, man.
Yeah,
I can do that for a half hour.
You know what? I think you're fat.
Fuck you.
It's a trigger word. It's a trigger word for Davey. Hey,
go fuck yourself. Hey, what does Billy Butcher say? What is Billy Butcher's advice to his son or his stepson? Remember he said at the end, he goes, remember what I told you?
Involves the C word, right?
It involves the C. We're not going to say. We're not Mac and Goo. We're not crass.
Come on, I'm not going to go there. Actually, I don't think it really matters. I guess I could, but I'm just not going to.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm better than that.
Yeah, I'm so much better than that.
Yeah.
Next week, Ryan, can you fucking believe it?
I can't. I'm so excited.
The murder mystery is back.
The crew is back.
I've not looked at it yet.
We haven't touched it.
I got the file right in front of me, though. Yeah. I haven't even
the package it came in is still sealed in the Davey household.
I'm not going to say who we're doing just yet or who we're looking for, but we are going to be doing it next week. We'll tweet out the start time. Monday, though, we're going to do it. I believe, actually, my sister-in-law, Nicole, is going to be in town. So we're going to be in the same place for this.
Oh, so we'll have like a 2v2.
2v2, we can put on a pot of coffee, and we're going to solve a murder mystery.
Absolutely.
We're going to try to do it in one night. So hopefully you'll stay up.
We're going to have to do some legwork ahead of time. Yeah.
Hopefully you'll stay up all night long.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that very much. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. You can rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. You could tweet us and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Dork Podcast. We won't respond to you, so don't even try. No, I'm kidding. We will. We probably will.
Bitches. Yeah.
YouTube.com/Dork Podcast. You can subscribe to the channel there. You can stream the episodes usually on Monday nights. This week was a little bit different, but normally Monday nights. Davey Twitches every once in a while.
We're still on hiatus right now, but we will be back soon. We'll be back in about a month's time.
But you might as well go over there and follow him, and then you'll get alerted when he does Twitch. Go to twitch.tv/rvond. And we also are a part of the hashtag Dork Shared Gooniverse. Go to the Facebook page there. Find out what's going on with us, with Mac and Goo, the Pop Culture Pile Driver, Change My Mind podcast, Furlough Friends, Shime Time, and Dr. Joe on Twitch. That's a unit right there.
That's a unit. That's an absolute squaw.
Right. What do they say about wombats?
They got square buttholes, baby.
Mm-hmm.